Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here. I'm back. I've been away. As you might be able to tell, my voice is a little bit strained, a little bit deep, little Barry White thing going on. Yeah, the footballing gods decided that if I was going to try and escape Tottenham Hotspur and all the pain it brings and have an amazing holiday, it was going to just give me a little bit of pain back and give me kind of like a bit of a coldy, fluey thing that I've had in the last couple of days of the holiday. But I thought, you know what? I'm a bit jet lagged. I kind of want to stay awake, do a late night video that will go out early this morning for anyone watching it in the morning. I'll just power through. So I apologise if I snivel, cough, snot, whatever weird, disgusting noises that come out of me, even more so than normal. But I thought, let's get back into talking about Tottenham. I know that's a strange thing. Why would anyone want to do that right now? But I came back to a win. A strange win. A win nevertheless. One that felt like it was going to be a bit of a comfortable day until Spurs seemed to think that the half-time whistle was the full-time whistle. And just pretty much rested up for the Thursday's big game. I wasn't there. I should stress I was not there. I was on my way back from the airport back home, watching my phone, watching the game on my phone. I won't go into the story of a cancelled British Airways flight because that would be whinging about a holiday that was otherwise amazing. If you didn't see, I think I might have mentioned it in the previous video, the reason I went away at this slightly awkward time, I guess, in the season, it was a specially booked holiday for Mrs. Gold's special holiday, special birthday, let's call it. Slightly belated, it was in January, her birthday, but it was all booked up for this. Her two favourite things, or among her favourite things, hopefully myself and the family are the other favourite things, but other favourite things in life are Dirty Dancing and Disney. So I saved up my pennies to take her to the hotel where Dirty Dancing was filmed, which is called Mountain Lake Lodge. It's an incredible place. If you ever get the chance to go there, it's in a place called Pembroke in America. It involved me in a hire car driving up a mountain. On one side, had no barriers, which was an interesting experience for me, especially when you're driving on the wrong side of the road and you're kind of getting used to all of that again. But it is a place that, regardless of having this famous movie set there, it's just the most incredible natural environment. It is an amazing, just going up to be in a lodge, sitting by a roaring fire and all that. It was phenomenal. We were only there for a couple of days, but it was incredible. And then part two of Mrs. Gold's holiday. I know this is talking about a holiday, I apologise, but it's explaining where I've been. I genuinely have had a lot of people going, "Where you gone, Gold? Where's the videos?" and stuff like that. There was a reason, and it was hopefully a romantic reason as well. The second part was Disney. Took her on a Disney cruise, which she'd kind of always wanted to do, and it took us to the Bahamas, which is why I'm a slightly redder shade than I normally am. I've never been on a cruise of any kind before, but I have been to Disney parks, and it was incredible. It's very cool. If you ever get the chance to go on a Disney cruise, this is not me advertising them or anything. It's just purely, it was amazing. Disney know what they're doing. The Bahamas are up there with the most beautiful places I've ever been to in my life. They're just exactly what you'd imagine. You know, white sandy beaches, clear blue sea. You can see through the bottom. We swam with stingrays, for goodness sake. Ones that couldn't get us. But we swam with swingways. I don't know what a swingray is. It's either something that's very good at, maybe that's part of Dirty Dancing, or they just really like other stingrays that aren't part of their group. I don't know. But yeah, it was very cool indeed. And then the ship stopped. It ended its journey in Puerto Rico, so I spent a couple of nights there, which is a beautiful place, very cool place. Not in terms of weather, but very cool in every other aspect. And then we finished it off with a couple of days, 2 nights in Washington before flying home. Washington's incredible. I genuinely, it's one of those places that's always been on my kind of list of places I wanted to see. It's amazing. it's just got this stretch, if you've never been there, called it's like the Mall, which is essentially got Capitol Hill, the Washington Memorial, you've got the White House, all in this kind of long row. Lincoln Memorial as well, the steps in front where Martin Luther King did his I Have a Dream speech to thousands of people around the water. It is a little bit like New York, and it's a place where you go to and it's like you're stepping into a movie, but it's these incredible real life moments as well. And of course, we're going there at a time when the world's a little bit it's all going a bit weird in terms of America and Trump and the tariffs and stuff he's done. And as we were leaving, yesterday, it feels like today for me, but it was yesterday, there were just hundreds of thousands of people across America protesting, and so many. I think there was supposed to be about 20, 30,000 there in Washington, and we could see probably more than that, I think, turned up on the day. And it was one of those things where you kind of feel like you're seeing a little bit of history kind of thing, and that's kind of what Washington is. It's just one of those places. It's, you go in the building, the theatre where Lincoln was shot, and then they carried him across the road where he died in a house opposite, and you got the Watergate building, the Washington Post, which was near actually a hotel we were staying, where for a journalist, Woodward and Bernstein did all of their amazing work in helping to bring it all to light. And can you tell I'm trying to put off talking about Tottenham Hotspur? You can probably tell. I don't want to talk about Spurs. I want to relive my holiday. No, just honestly, just if that helps anyone that wants to go to some of those places, do. We also went to the Air and Space Museum in Washington, which was amazing in itself. It had all stuff on the moon landing, like Neil Armstrong's suit that he wore when he walked across the moon and stuff like that. It's incredible. It's incredible. Can I go back, please? I don't want to talk about Tottenham. But we have to. We're almost 7 minutes in, and then we really have to talk about Tottenham. I'm going to get people moaning that I didn't go straight into talking about Tottenham. Maybe it was a light relief. Maybe people didn't want to talk about Tottenham or listen to Tottenham. Where do we start? I can't really speak too much about the Chelsea game, and I'll explain why. It's not because I want to avoid it, although it kind of did by heading across the world to not be there for it. But I only really saw a big chunk of the second half. That was because it just happened to be at a time when I was in San Juan Airport trying to get to Washington. So I was kind of half concentrating, trying to go from queue to queue, finding a place to sit and watch bits of it, and all while trying to actually find it to watch as well. So I don't want to go overboard in incredible, insightful analysis. Not that I ever provide that, but just I wasn't there. You know my rule. If I'm not at a game, I don't want to try and go into it in incredible depth and detail, because I wasn't there. It kind of feels like I'm cheating. I'm like an imposter of a journalist in a way in that respect. And I always say, if you're not at the game, you're kind of only seeing half of the game, even when it feels like you're seeing what the cameras want you to see rather than everything going on. And I wasn't even seeing that. I was seeing half of, well, more than half of a game, but on a little phone screen. My phone isn't that big. That'd be weird. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm wearing and stuff like that, it's because many of you may well know, if you head off on a 2-week holiday, you come back and you've worn all the stuff you'd normally wear, and you kind of dig into drawers to find whatever you might be able to wear on your return that is clean. So yeah, movie t-shirt. Where was I? Yes. So what I did see in the Chelsea game, of course, incredibly disappointing. Not a good performance. Didn't do much in the game. To be honest, the chunk that I saw in the second half, from what I understand, I think Chelsea in the first half kind of were maybe more threatening. I don't know. But the chunk I saw of the second half, it was kind of like two sides that really aren't in their rhythm and really struggling. Maybe Cole Palmer aside, because he's just very, very good. But other than him, wasn't a lot of quality on the pitch. And Spurs still could have had that late equaliser with Sonny sliding into, is it Brennan Johnson's ball across? 2 disallowed goals, both probably rightly so struck off, even though it took a ridiculous amount of time to come to those decisions, which we know Postecoglou had a kind of big old discussion about, and I agree with that. I agree. If it's taking 6 minutes to decide something, that's not clear and obvious, and then that's kind of against the whole point of VAR, if it's not an offside decision. So, yeah, I agree with that. I don't really want to go in length over things that people have probably spoken about, loads of other journalists have probably covered. I've been very good in terms of, not good for these videos, but good in terms of, I guess, for my wife and the holiday, of really trying to pay as little attention to Tottenham as possible, which I know sounds awful for a Tottenham Hotspur reporter, but sometimes you just got to switch off. And it's been one of the seasons I think we all want to switch off probably more than we've been able to. And I was quite good at not kind of reading a lot of post-match stuff. I try not to anyway, even when I'm back in, working, reporting, until after I've written all my articles and done my video and everything, because I don't kind of want to be influenced by what other people think about that. So it's true in that aspect, but actually, even in the days since, I haven't really read too much about the Chelsea stuff. I know all the controversy about the ear cupping from Postecoglou and everything. And I get that, and I know there were two explanations in there. There was the one in the moment, which was that he was reacting to the travelling Spurs fans who'd booed the Lucas Bergvall decision, taking him off, even though I didn't kind of understand it at the time, because obviously, again, I was aware that he'd been ill on international duty. I'd seen that. That was, excuse me, before I'd left, that he'd been ill for most of that time and wasn't quite right for their second game, Sweden, either. But yeah, so the initial explanation, the moment that probably still a lot of people still believe, was that Postecoglou was cupping his ear as if to say, "Oh, you're booing my substitution, are you? Sars just scored in your face," kind of thing, without doing that. And obviously, if that was the case, blew back in his face because the Sar goal was ruled out. Postecoglou after the game said it was a different thing, that he was asking where's the celebration, it should have been louder, kind of thing, from the fans, because it was a pivotal part in the game, he felt, where they could have pushed on and done more and maybe got something positive out of the match. Either way, just don't do it. Don't do it. No. No. Neither reason is a good one for him to do that right now. He's just not in the position right now, Postecoglou, to have any kind of solid footing and foundation underneath him to make any kind of a gesture towards the fans. Just leave it alone. Just don't do it. For someone who's constantly saying that the fans should feel what they want to feel, no one should tell them what to feel. It kind of felt, if he's saying that he should have been telling them they need to be louder, he's kind of telling them how to feel. It's like you're kind of contradicting exactly what you're saying with your explanation for what he did, regardless of whether you believe that that's the thing or not. That's what he's telling us is the reason he went for it or did it. I can only go back to my previous comments about Postecoglou. Like I said, I wasn't at the game, didn't see what he did. I know a couple of journalists saw it. I think Jack Pitbrook did a very kind of a very descriptive tweet about it, which kind of went everywhere. And I checked with Guesty, and I think Guesty said he saw it as well, and a few others saw it. So it happened. I'm not denying it happened at all. My issue with it, with Postecoglou, and this is what I've said in previous things, I just feel he reacts so easily to stuff all the time. He kind of, he's a guy that in his next birthday will be 60 years old. He's a very well-travelled man, very learned chap who has had so many experiences in life around the world. But my goodness, he is a bear that if you poke him with a stick, he reacts a lot of the time. And I'm sure there's loads he doesn't react to, but quite publicly there's a lot he does react to. Maybe, I think I maybe said this in a previous one, maybe it's an element of having a little chip on the shoulder because of the kind of, just the way he's been treated over the years, about his coaching background and being run down and kind of mocked about it as if it's lesser than other coaches have had, even though that's just not the case, the experiences he's had and things like that. And maybe this is all elements of it. Maybe he reacts quickly because of that. I don't know. I did read, I tried to read kind of the stuff that Guesty put out from the press conference, just mainly so I don't then go into press conference and ask the same question, because I want to talk about reporters that go into press conferences and say exactly the same things that have already been asked and then become one of those reporters. I'm talking about occasional reporters, who aren't everyone. So I did read. I saw the embargo, the later stuff on Friday night from that press conference about how he says he kind of feels almost it's important that he responds to people who film him and try to rile him up, to take a stand, to get back at them. But it's kind of obvious that in doing so, he's ignoring the fact that he's giving them exactly what they want, and they win. He doesn't. I think he thinks he's taking a win away from those situations. He's just not. It all sounded very admirable, what he was saying, and then, there's a lot to like about the things he's saying. And it's true, in modern society, there is this need to get attention, trolls. We've spoken about ourselves when it comes to social media and things like that. But the best thing, and it's true, and I know it's difficult, and sometimes I bite back as well, but the fact is, trolls and people looking for attention, if you starve them of that attention, they can't really exist within a vacuum. It doesn't work. The guy or whoever it was filming him at Fulham, at Craven Cottage, nothing happens there. He achieves nothing if Postecoglou just doesn't look at him, turn around, ask him, where's your mother, where's your father, why aren't they kind of telling, looking after you, whatever he kind of said, he said. And I think he claimed in his quotes that on Friday, the two young guys that were doing it looked a bit embarrassed and everything. And I think he kind of felt he got a bit of a moral victory from that. But the problem was, whatever just happened then, they then went away and posted the footage online. So he didn't achieve anything. If anything, he gave them something to put out there. And while he might claim that, he doesn't care about what happens next, if he looks silly and stuff like that, I think he does. I think I think many of us are like this. We'll say we've got a thick skin and things like that, but there'll be things that get underneath our skin that rile us and that aren't great for us. And, and I think he's one of those kind of guys. I think he says a lot that he's not sensitive about stuff, but then he talks at length about those sort of things. So it clearly does. He says he has this kind of disconnect to the modern world, in those kind of respects, like social media and things like that. And I think this definitely seems to be the case in these circumstances. It's just don't react. Just, especially when you're in the situation he's in right now, just concentrate on the coaching, because it nothing looks good about the reactions, especially when it's the Spurs fans. I mean, the cupping the ear thing, it was just a dreadful look. I immediately messaged Guesty actually after final whistle. Thank you, Sean. Which was against everything that I really should be doing, because I know how dreadful it is to message a reporter at the final whistle. But I was almost in disbelief that it had happened. I was like, "Did you really cup his ear like to the fans?" Kind of thing. That's a terrible look. And he was like, "Yep, yes, he did." And yeah, it's just looks like you're picking a fight. Just don't do it, regardless of what you think you're trying to achieve. And it's those little kind of things that all mount up and work against him even more so. So yeah, that was a little thing that came up, wasn't it? What else came up since I've been away? Financial results, they came out finally. I had a feeling, I kept prepping everyone at my work, like, they're going to come out. And I was like, they're coming out while I'm away. Good for me, not so good for them. But yeah, those rare Daniel Levy words we get twice a year, isn't it? Once in the end of season statement that he puts out to the fans in the programme and online, and the financial results. Although we had the added bonus of the fans forum, didn't we, in the last couple of years? I did see that Postecoglou joined the long list of managers who have all called for more people at the club to speak. It'd be really nice if more people spoke about the club and what's going on. It really is utterly absurd. It really is. I mean, how many managers have said that now? I don't know. Maybe the fact that the current people at the top of the club have been there for so long is because they don't stick their head above the parapet and they don't talk much. Maybe that in business is the best way to be. I don't know. I'm not a businessman, so maybe that is the best way to be. But it is just mad how many managers. I could go back. I'm trying to think. Probably Nuno's one who didn't, but then he just didn't talk anyway. But probably every other manager has spoken about the fact that they're the only ones that are left to talk about things going on at the club. It's just mad. And look, there will be people that will say, but not a lot of chairmen and people at the top of clubs do talk a lot. But I still swear they talk more. And I've said this before, the amount of times that Spurs have got in technical directors of football, whatever you want to call them, that were meant to come in and be this bridge and this more communicative form to the fans and the media and the world in general. And there's radio silence, apart from the transfer window wrap, which are always thrilling affairs. Yeah, I don't get it. Communication has just been always one of my bugbears about Spurs, and you'll hear me saying it every so often in videos, and it never changes. In terms of the actual financial results, I looked at all the various things, and actually Swiss Ramble, which is a really good Twitter account, did a really good summing up of the key financial points. In case you missed it, this is probably the best way just to... These are financial results, if you're not aware, went up to June 30th, 2024. And these are kind of the headline figures that the Swiss Ramble spoke about. Pre-tax loss significantly reduced from 95 million to 26 million, despite the revenue falling 22 million, which is 4%, from 550 million to 528 million. So the club still bringing in a revenue of over £500 million. Player sales shot up from 16 million to 82 million, which I presume that would be Harry Kane in there as well. Operating expenses cut 4% from 28 to 28 million. 4%, 28 million, from 615 million down to 589 million. Then in their tweet they say, although Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy often talks about sustainability, the club has posted losses 5 years in a row, adding up to 330 million. Looking at the last 10 years, it's a proverbial game of two halves, as they were very profitable in the preceding 5-year period. The main reason for Tottenham's revenue fall was the lack of European football, which led to reductions in both broadcasting, down 37 million, which is 18%, to 167 million, and match day, which was down 12 million, 10% to 106 million. That's partly offset by growth in commercial, up 27 million, 12% to 255 million, a new club record. So it's all a kind of different the commercial side now, isn't it? Because Todd Klein's gone on, he's at Chelsea. I'm trying to think who the person at the top is. I think it's someone called Ryan Norries, I think there's a few people. I think there's I'm not sure he took over exactly Todd Klein's role. I think there's an amalgamation of different kind of people that run those departments, but they're making more money from commercial. So that's increased. I'm sure every fan will be delighted about that. But hey, if it goes towards the club and that's the idea and the team, then it's kind of getting somewhere. What else was in this? Following last season's revenue decline, Tottenham lowered their wage bill. This is obviously a key thing, by £29 million, 12%. They've gone down from 251 million to 222 million, but this is still the club's second highest ever wage bill. But incredibly, low wages to turnover ratio of just 42%, which is the best in the Premier League. We knew it was before, and now that's been confirmed, it's gone down even more. So yeah, lower wages, lower position in the table. Who knew? It's amazing. Yeah, it's... I think, what else we got? The Daniel Levy statement as well, which is, we've got to savour these words. We don't get many of them. He said, as we announce our financial results for the year to 30th of June 2024, we currently find ourselves in 14th position in the Premier League, navigating what has been a highly challenging season on the pitch. We are, however, in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Europa League. Winning this competition would see welcome silverware and mean qualification for the UEFA Champions League. We must do everything we can to support the team in these final key stages. Since opening our new stadium in April 2019, we have invested over £700 million net in player acquisitions. I wonder how many times we've been told how much they've put into the squad since the stadium opened. That's not part of the statement. Recruitment remains a key focus, and we must ensure that we make smart purchases within our financial means. I often read calls for us to spend more, given that we are ranked as the 9th richest club in the world. However, a closer examination of today's financial figures reveals that such spending must be sustainable in the long run and within our operating revenues. Our capacity to generate recurring revenues determines our spending power. We cannot spend what we do not have, and we will not compromise the financial stability of this club. Indeed, our off-pitch revenues have significantly supplemented the lower football revenues this year, testament to our diversified income strategy. I want to thank everyone who supports us through good times and bad. We are resilient and passionate about our club. We shall aim to finish the season as strong as we can and continue to build for success on the pitch. Daniel Levy. Look, while there may be elements of... what's the best way to put it? I mean, there are facts in there, certainly. But I kind of feel like whenever we get one of these annual statements or letters to supporters, there's always this kind of tone, this undercurrent of what we're doing is right and what you're saying is wrong. It's always got this feel to it. There's talk about money being spent, yes, but there's also kind of talk about recruitment needing to be right without any acknowledgement that Levy and the board, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, they're the people that appoint the head coach. They're the people that appoint the people that run recruitment for the past quarter of a century. So you can't keep blaming, I guess, the many, many people you appoint for the mistakes without admitting that maybe you made a few yourself during the process, maybe. But they never come across like these. These statements never kind of take any responsibility themselves. It's almost like, well, we're doing this. Can't you see that? There's that kind of tone to it. And I've said it a million times, and I will say it again. Just, they're crying out the club for like some kind of PR expert to go in there and just say, look, this is how you talk to football fans. I don't know if you're used to talking to business people or the business world or whatever, but that's not how you talk to football fans. It does you no good. It just comes across as kind of, I guess, almost patronising. I don't know. Look, maybe this has happened. Maybe people have been into the club already and it's been ignored or it has been taken on board. It just hasn't been carried out properly. I have no idea. But there's always been this tone to the way these things come out, and it never sits well. It never comes across well. It never has the intended kind of outcome, I think, it's meant to ever come from these things. I don't know where they come from, these things, and who approves them and who says, you should say that. That would be a great idea. I don't know. But there was another protest today. Again, I don't feel well placed to comment on this one. Last one, I was there. I saw it. I saw how effective it was. Very organised, really well done. And it had a big impact. It made a big splash in the media. And yeah, it was very well organised. I don't really know. I don't want to say the same kind of stuff about this one because I wasn't there. And yeah, I've seen some of the images on social media from it. So I think it's probably best I leave it to the journalists that were there. I feel like I'm imposing there. It's their thing to report on because they were there. I feel like a bit of an imposter from afar. Like I said, though, I saw how effective the previous protest was. So if this was done in a similar spirit, I'm sure it would have had a similar impact as well. But yeah, I haven't really I don't know too much about that. Like I said, have a little look on social media, see the images, see videos, things like that. I don't even know if it was similar numbers. Again, very jet lagged, coming in, trying to piece together what I can, and what I was watching didn't really kind of discuss it or talk about it, but they may well have done points I've missed or couldn't hear or things like that. So again, it just doesn't do me any favours to talk about it because I could say something that's completely wrong about it, and I don't want to misrepresent it in any way. So by all means, look at what the reporters who were there said about it. But yeah, as I said, if it was done in the way the last one was done, I'm sure it would be very effective. In terms of the game itself, I did manage to watch the bulk of it, I would say. Probably lost about 10 minutes or so. The pain of the internet when you're trying to get a signal on the way back from an airport on a coach. So I dipped in and out a couple of times. I saw the majority of it. Let's start with the positives. Yes, I know it was Southampton, and they've just become, isn't it, the earliest ever relegated side. They've only got 10 points. But Spurs won. Spurs won. We cannot look away from a game of football won and 3 points in the bag. That's a positive. It is. It might not always feel like it with Tottenham. They've got this amazing ability to make even a win feel like it wasn't one. Um, but it was crucial to win and get some goals under their belt as well ahead of Thursday night, which is obviously a massive game, but just in general, really. What other positives? Brennan Johnson getting back in the goal groove. I thought that was really important as well. Both his finishes were excellent. They're really nice finishes. First goal, lovely Postecoglou style move. We've spoken about these before. Front to back, get it to either a winger or a fullback. They pull it across, and someone in the middle makes a great run. And Johnson is very good at getting in those positions. Spencer's cutback was great. Was it Sonny? I think now Sonny maybe played him on. It was lovely bit of play between them all. Johnson, cracking left foot finish, really, really good. Second goal looked really scrappy until I kind of managed to see a replay. Obviously, when you're watching on your phone, like, oh, what is that kind of thing? Because it was all like bouncing around the 6-yard box, wasn't it? But when you actually watch it slow down, Maddison's header's very deliberate, and so is Johnson's finish. It's a really nice, clever little kind of poke of the foot. Really nice, controlled affair. And so Johnson's now up to 20 goal involvements this season, 16 goals. It's technically, I think it's 14 goal involvements in 28 Premier League games, so a goal involvement every other game, if you will. I think Guesty maybe asked Postecoglou about trying to get, how do you get Brennan Johnson now to be more consistent, especially as he's producing good numbers, but how does he become more consistent to produce even better ones? And he said it's tough, but I think whenever Brennan plays, he's always a goal threat. He has been really good for us in terms of goals. And even though I don't rate them highly, even his assists have been important to us, as today he won the penalty. You don't actually get an assist for that, do you? Which I think you should, but hey, people don't like assist as a stat anyway if you're Postecoglou. He's really important for us in the way we play, and I don't think he has been inconsistent this year. I just think the disruptions we've had in the team and the ability to get some real cohesion in the group has disrupted everyone this season. Great for him today. I was really pleased for him. Not just his goals, but his general play was really good. He's important for us as a wide player. There aren't many around that are a constant goal threat like he is. I'm really pleased for him today. With Brennan, he's always in the areas we need him to be. He's probably one of the most disciplined players we have in terms of making sure he's always in the right positions, and that's why he gets his goals. There have been times this season when his form has suffered because of the team more than anything else. I think like we played in the first half, Brennan becomes a really important player for us as we're a constant threat, breaking lines, making half-space runs. We were getting balls into the box in the areas we need to, and every time we went forward, we looked like scoring. If we do that, then I think it's not a matter of confidence for Brennan. It just gives you more opportunities. There's the one thing about him, he'll always be in those positions, so it's up to us to match his discipline in that. It's difficult to read out long quotes. I think he has been inconsistent, but I do think that I'm kind of disagreeing with a lot of the stuff he actually said there now. He has been inconsistent, and I do think there's an element, of course, of the team being like that, but I do think his confidence has dipped, and his ability to take on his man and really go at them as well. But even when he hasn't been playing particularly well, his positioning is great. His movement and position is terrific. I think it's very easy to kind of maybe sneer at what Johnson does and just say that, he just scores tap-ins. But again, you've got to be in those positions to score what are considered tap-ins. Like I said, both goals today were really nice finishes. They're not these little kind of easy things. It's just... I just think there's so much more to be got out of him. I think they're kind of only scratching the surface of what he can do. And that's, needs to be kind of extracted from him. And he is Spurs' top goal scorer by far. I think by 5 goals. I think he's got 16 and the most anyone else has got 11. I think Son and Kulusevski are both now have reached 20 goal involvements, or have. I think Sonny's got something like 22, 23 in total. But then you've got, I think, Maddison and Solanke are maybe on 19. They're very close, which is just mad. It's kind of mad. Spurs are second top scorers in the Premier League. They're back to being that again. Yet they're 14th. It's so ridiculous. I was talking to a Man U fan today, obviously, both utterly in this dreadful position at the table. Yet, I think United's goal difference is something like -4, and Spurs, isn't it like +13? It's so stupid that they're where they're at in the table. It just shows how dreadful their defending has been in key moments. That's what it is. And again, there's conceded another really sloppy goal today. Defence all bunched over one side. How many times have we seen that? Jed Spence, who otherwise was very good, I still maintain I prefer him on the left. I thought that against Chelsea again. I thought it kind of muted a lot of what he could do on the right. I think on the left, he just inverts really well. He's really confident about coming inside onto his right foot, and he also defends really well on his left. I don't know why. I just think he looks better on that side. So I don't know why. I've kind of just explained why I think why. But yeah, he is defending. I did kind of feel like it was a combination of him losing who was behind him, but also I think Odegaard giving him no real help whatsoever and kind of tracking back. Look, I know I always bang about the goals that Spurs seem to concede in between the right side to centre back and Pedro Porro. But I also feel that that kind of applies in terms of chances to the other side. Whether it's the left or the right, there always seems to be someone free from the opposition at the back post. Why is that? That's dreadful to be a consistent theme across the season. And that's got to be down to the players in one respect, but mainly down to coaching. You know, how many times can that keep happening without it being fixed? So that's both for me. That's coaching and players failing to spot this danger over and over again in these same positions. I mean, the Chelsea goal the other night was exactly that. It was just a player absolutely free to head the ball into net. And again today, you know, to be able to have the time to bring a ball down and have a shot. No, that should not be happening. Look, like I said, the second half was like a really fizzled out kind of thing. But still, it almost felt like Spurs were kind of doing it. I know we don't want to see it against Southampton. It's against the other teams who want to see this. But you could almost argue Spurs had like just shut the game down. There wasn't really many chances. There were a couple. Vicario had to make a couple of saves. I don't want to say anything that really pushed him to his boundaries or anything. But ultimately, the fullbacks weren't really rampaging on. They were quite controlled. It was just like, okay, let's get this 2-0 done, conserve our energy. And you can see a stupid goal like that. And it changes the whole outlook. It just makes it look like you were dreadful in the second half. Look, they weren't great going forward, don't get me wrong. But at the back, they kind of seemed mostly in control. Yeah, and I think he was asked, Postecoglou, about conceding another sloppy goal, and he said to a certain extent, but it's more about how we got to that point. If you allow the opposition to get into a rhythm, they're going to find those opportunities, whereas in the first half, we never really allowed it. They had the one effort, but aside from that, we rarely let them into our half. But in the second half, we sat back, and maybe the guys were thinking about Thursday, but I don't think you can play that way. It was disappointing to concede because, again, in Europe, every goal is important. The ones you score and the ones you concede count for a lot more in terms of the outcome of a tie. It was disappointing to concede a goal today, but I thought it was more disappointing the way we went about it in the second half, because it's spot on there. Thursday night, if they're, I don't know, it'd be amazing if they're 2 goals up or something, or 3 goals up even. I know, you know, this is a wild hope, but if they were, and then they concede a goal, in a Premier League game, it's 3-1. It doesn't really make a huge difference unless you're desperate for that goal difference. But yeah, it's not rocket science. That goal in the second leg suddenly is a massive thing in a cup competition. I know it's very obvious, but it's true. Yeah, it was. I mean, look, we had the late penalty. There was a little bit around that as well, which because Brennan Johnson won it and he wanted to take it, but Matisse Tell had just come on the pitch and he looked very determined to take it. And to be fair, it was sorted out the way it needed to be sorted out, which I think was probably the most admirable thing about it, was that Romero came over. I think he took the ball off Porro and handed it to Tell. And I think I feel like he gave Johnson a bit of a hug. I think I saw that as well. You could see Johnson was saying to Tell, like, 3, I'll be on a hat-trick if I score this. I've got 2 sides of this in my head. I like the fact Romero took charge and made a decision. I also like Tell's desire as a teenager that I want to get my first Premier League goal. I'm the striker. I want to be taking a penalty. I want to take responsibility for that's cool as well. But it was incredibly harsh on Brennan Johnson not to get the kick for his hat-trick. I mean, how many times? I know it's the thing that if you've got a real set penalty taker, they will take it probably 99% of the time, regardless of whether someone else is on a hat trick. They just do. That's what they're there for. They score more penalties than anyone else. But I kind of felt like in that situation, it was a bit like he could have taken it. But I did kind of respect the kind of steeliness of Tell in wanting to do it, especially as a teenager. And yeah, Johnson was asked, I think it was in his club interview afterwards, if he'd wanted to take it. He said, "Yeah, of course. It's only normal for me to want to take the penalty. I don't want to get into it too much. Obviously, the conversation was had, and Matisse stepped up and took it. I think there's only a certain amount of talking to do before it gets quite messy. I've been in that situation before where I've had people wanting to take the ball off me, and it kind of unsettles you a little bit. I know the game was pretty much done, but still, I don't want to unsettle someone too much or start any disagreements. Once the decision was made, I just had to kind of get on with it." And I think that's cool. I think that's a really mature way of looking at it, isn't it? We've seen so many of those go wrong, haven't we? We've seen people strop in, tantrums, arguments. We've seen people miss because of it and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was dealt with all in the right way. And, and credit to Johnson, I suppose, in that moment for dealing with it the way he did. And hopefully he will get his first hat-trick at some point anyway. Postecoglou was asked about Tell scoring the goal. I think this might have been a guesty question. I haven't listened back to it, but I've kind of was reading something that suggested it might be. He said it was good for him to get a goal. The guys coming on are really important. I thought Wilson today didn't look ready when he came on and only came to life in the last 10 to 15 minutes. But sometimes these guys coming on are going to be really vital for us in Europe, because the ties are going to be really intense and you're going to have to make changes, not just because players are not performing, but because we need that extra energy. Guys like Matisse and Wilson are young guys and we're going to need them. They have the quality for sure. I thought Archie and Biss came on and helped us a bit in terms of getting a bit more control of the game. For all those guys, now that we've got a healthy squad, they're ready to play. I agree on Odegaard. I thought he really wasn't in the rhythm of the game at all for a long period. But he looked better as it wore. I think more Southampton kind of had to push up, and the more tired they got, I thought he looked better as it wore on. So yeah, I'd agree with that. I know some people won't like him picking that up, but I think if that helps Odegaard if he comes off the bench on Thursday night or he starts, excuse me, then there'll be a real concerted effort to be ready straight away. Oh, the throat's going. I knew it would at this point. I actually thought Archie Gray took a little while to get into the game when he came on as well. I didn't think he was straight into it. I actually felt Basuma probably was more so. Made some quite important tackles further up the pitch. Whereas Gray just took a little time, but I thought he did get into it. There was one really nice moment when I think he kind of took the ball, turned and kind of let it roll across his body and then got out of a bit of a difficult situation. But it was kind of when Spurs needed to relieve a little bit of pressure at 2-1 down, I think. 2-1 up. But the subs didn't... He kind of made quite a lot of subs, I think, to try and inject some impetus into it. And it didn't really work. What other positives? Romero. I thought Romero was good from what I could tell on my little phone view. He tried to make things happen. Had those 2 headers saved in the first half from Ramsdale. Ramsdale's been relegated with a lot of clubs, hasn't he? Is it 2 or 3? Maybe 3. But yeah, Romero. I've said this before, but I really like his passing between the lines. He probes with his passes, and the first goal came, I think, from one of those as well. Postecoglou was asked about that afterwards. He said, "Yeah, it's a goal that we've done a number of times, but we haven't done it consistently. I think in the first half we had many, many, many of those moments. And with Cristian back there and Ben, when Mickey plays, we have centre backs who are comfortable on the ball and can give us the right pass and find some really good solutions." He didn't start crying. And then it's about making sure the guys further up find the right spaces. I thought first half we did that a lot, and it was an excellent team goal from start to finish. I think that was a byproduct of us being really disciplined with our football in the first 52 minutes. I still think Solanke needs more created for him. That's going to be one of my biggest bugbears of this season. Did have one effort, didn't he, that was saved, but just does so much work that's kind of not reciprocated. And yeah, that frustrates me no end, because I know what his goal tally would be if if he just had more to feast upon. I thought Lucas Bergvall looked good, more so than midweek. Midweek he looked all right, but he definitely didn't look as strong as he did today or yesterday. For anyone watching this in the morning, it is technically yesterday for me as well because it's past midnight. He was asked about Bergvall and he said, yeah, he looked a bit leggy on Thursday night, but I thought it was important for him to get it out of his system because he hadn't played, because he didn't play the internationals for 2.5 weeks and he hardly played. With Thursday in mind, I thought giving him 60 minutes on Thursday against Chelsea and another good block, he looked a lot better today, physically stronger in the first half. I felt the midfield three of Rodri, Madders and Lucas were really, really good defensively, but also when we had the ball, they were really strong and it worked well. Yeah, I think the main negative really was just that switching off in the second half. I can only imagine, I haven't actually asked about this, but please tell me if you were there. I can only imagine the atmosphere probably subsequently was as flat as anything, because it didn't look good. It wasn't good to watch. And yeah, it was a really odd way. They kind of really should have shown no mercy and just pushed the result home, set themselves nicely up for Thursday. But I do wonder whether there's a little bit of like, the next game's our cup final. Do we really want to get ourselves injured or stuff like that? And it's like, it's just not the way to go into it. Whether it's a mental thing, I don't know. But yeah, it really, there was the potential there to really push on, show no mercy, get their attacking groove back on. But instead it was just really disjointed. I know they scored 3 goals in the end and 3 points are really helpful for a confidence-strained team, but it could have been more. It could have been much more than it was. Postecoglou was asked about that. He said, I was really happy with the first half. First half, I thought we were really disciplined, well organised, and sort of limited them to one chance. Every time we went forward, we looked dangerous and as threatening as we've looked for quite a while, really fluent. Obviously scored 2 goals, 1 disallowed. Oh, yeah, didn't even speak about that. The Lucas Bergvall kind of toe poke. It was a Romero header across, wasn't it? And Bergvall kind of gets a foot to it and just knocks it into the perfect place in the net. But unfortunately, Romero was dead long, that tiny amount offside. And it just took an hour, didn't it? At the time that we know semi-automated offsides are coming in, it feels like the offsides, VAR looks at them and getting just longer and longer and longer. It's mad. As if to say, like, we really need this to come in. Yeah, and he said, where was I? Scoring 2 goals, 1 disallowed, and Aaron Ramsdale's put off some good saves, really pleased. Second half, not so much as I thought. We became way too passive without the ball. We allowed Southampton to get a little bit of rhythm. We were really sloppy with the ball, and the substitutions we made didn't really make the impact I wanted. As you said, that allows them to get a goal at the end, which was disappointing and something we need to improve on. Overall, the important thing is we got the win, scored 3 goals, and everyone got through unscathed and ready for a big night on Thursday. Because, yeah, he didn't play Van de Ven or a doggy, so they're completely kind of fresh and ready to go if needed on Thursday. Although, yeah, I mean, I suppose it's Thursday to Thursday, isn't it? So, yeah, Frankfurt are going to be a much sterner test. Of course they are. You know, Southampton are, yeah, they are a poor team. Of course they are. You know, they would, if they weren't, they wouldn't be going down with 10 points so far, or they are already technically down. Spurs need to be far closer to their best if they're going to come away with something that sets up a second leg that is doable and manageable. So yeah, we'll see what Thursday night brings. That will be my return to live action and back in the stadium. Feels like I haven't been there forever because obviously the international break. It's weird. I only missed 2 games. Normally in the season, if you're away for 2 and a bit weeks, you would miss a load of games, but technically just the 2. Not that devastated I missed those 2 games, I must admit. I've probably picked 2 that weren't the worst to mix, but you could probably say that about a few games this season. Yeah. I need to head off. I'm feeling the jet lag now. It kind of works the other way when you come back. It's a weird one. For anyone interested, I did keep up my marathon training while on holiday. I did a 19-mile run around the ship. It was very clever. They've got this kind of, the 4th deck, it's like a 11, 12 deck ship. And the 4th deck it's got this kind of exterior, like I'm not going to say a running track, but a wooden kind of decking around it, which you kind of, it's called a jogging track, but a lot of people walk on it, and you're meant to go in one direction. Although I had one elderly lady who was walking in the opposite direction, which it was nice in some ways because every time she was passing me, she was going, "Yeah, keep going," because I was running for 3 hours round it. But the trouble is, some aspects of it, the aft and the what is it called? Aft and I think it's front, stern, isn't it? Yeah, it came in a bit narrow, some corridors, and suddenly coming around a corner, and this very pleasant old lady is suddenly right there in front of you, and you don't want to knock her over. Is it was an interesting thing. But yes, I did a 19-mile run, although it was an experience because GPS on a ship, not so good for measuring your running, because it just takes where you are nautically and moving. So I was kind of using my watch to work out how kind of time-wise, but I was looking at it, it's like, my goodness, I'm smashing all of my personal records, because I think at the end of the 3 hours, it said I'd run something like 65, 70 miles, which was quite impressive. I hadn't. So I had to kind of, I'd figured it might do that, so I looked at my step count before and after the run to make sure that I got it right. So yeah, I did a 19-mile run on the ship, 10-mile run on the beach, which was really cool. I've never done that before. Did a few shorter runs as well. I'm kind of glad I did all of those runs because the American portions are big. Their food, they are big. On that note, a big thank you to Tommy the waiter at Cheesecake Factory in Washington, who is a Spurs fan. As he said to me, he said, how weird that I was kind of assigned to a table in his section and he's the only Spurs fan. And he very kindly gave me a huge slice of chocolate cake, which was wonderful yet awful for me all in one go. So yeah, if I don't succeed in the marathon, it's all because of Tommy's chocolate cake. But no, he was a lovely guy and it was very kind of him. I think he was the only Spurs fan I actually bumped into on the trip. I had a lot of messages from Spurs fans, excuse me, saying, so that's not very professional at all, but I'm struggling. A lot of Spurs fans said, oh, come and watch the games with supporters clubs, wherever I was at that point. But the problem was, like I said, one game was when I was at the airport, and the second game was when I was back in the UK. So unfortunately, I couldn't. I don't know how it would have gone down with Mrs. Gold anyway, but yeah, it was just physically not possible anyway on the day. But thank you very much for everyone who'd asked. I've got one more long run to do, which I'm going to do either tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on how this whole cough chest thing's going. I don't want to do a long run and feel really, really rubbish afterwards. It doesn't really do you any good. And that will be my last long run. It's probably slightly later than I wanted to do it, but the holiday kind of knocked it on a little bit. And then I'll start the tapering that you're supposed to do ahead of the marathon, which is April 27th, the day of the Liverpool game. It's almost upon us. It's scary, but we're almost there. Thank you, as always, to everyone that's donated. Even while I was away, I could see people donate. It was incredible. We're up to 23,536 now for cancer research, which is incredible. 1,106 people have donated, which is just amazing. Thank you so much. It's so appreciated, and it does make it. Every time I run, I always look at the donations page, always, just to kind of remind myself, there you go. It's going to hurt, but that's what you're doing it for. And these people that it's going towards hurt a hell of a lot more than you are just running around. So yeah, what we got next? Press conference Wednesday. That'll be with Postecoglou and the player. Frankfurt, of course, Thursday night. Then another press conference, probably Friday morning, I'd imagine. I haven't been back in the loop, but I'm sure that will be the case. And then Wolves on Sunday away. Always a tough game at Molineux, but it would be nice. I know it's going to be a bit after Lord's Mayor show thing, but it would be nice to just kind of say, no, stay away. And just kind of get some points on the board there, please. I'll have to figure out when the next video drops. Probably have to be Friday night. One of those where it's a bit of a combo of the European game and what was said in the press conference. I need to do a movie video. For anyone that watches my other little channel, that I really need to be better in terms of regular videos with Gold Goes to the Movies. I watched loads of videos, loads of movies on the flight out to America, and then there's like 2 internal flights. I've watched so many great films, loads of the Oscar contenders, loads of new stuff, some brilliant ones. So if you need any movie recommendations, I'm going to try and do one of those over the next couple of days. But there you go. Right, time to head off and have a drink. Not an alcoholic one, just one to soothe this throat because it's absolutely dead. I think that's it. I'm sorry if I've missed anything. I have been away. There may have been little bits and pieces that dropped over the last couple of weeks that I wasn't aware of. Let me know if there's anything really obvious and glaring that I've missed that I should have spoken about, and I'll try and have a little chat about it in the next video. But otherwise, yeah, back and looking forward to kind of coming back with a bang into a big game and hopefully a positive one. We need something for this season to hinge upon and to hang on to. And we all know it's the Europa League now. That's what it's all about. And trying to get there, the holy grail of silverware. Let's see how we do. Right, time to head off. As always, stay healthy. Healthier than I feel right now. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and I shall catch you later. Goodbye.